Hey everyone, welcome to Project Prep, where we prep you for all of your classes. Today's topic, World War II. Now you may be asking yourself, World War II, isn't that only, the Hitler and Pearl Harbor and the atomic bomb? But that's not the only part. And especially as we're talking about American history, we need to remember that before the war, America's in a Great Depression. And with the help of the war, we were able to become a great manufacturing giant. With all that manufacturing ability, we were able to help our allies not only survive the war, but win it.
In the years prior to the United States entrance into the war, the United States was in the middle of a devastating economic depression, the worst in the country's history. And despite efforts made by the federal government and private organizations, very little was actually achieved in recovering the economy. In the early years of the war in Europe, there was much debate over whether or not the United States should get involved in the war or remain neutral. This allowed the United States to provide aid to its allies without getting physically involved in the conflict. The United States remained uninvolved until the attack on the United States naval base at Pearl Harbor by Japanese pilots, which quickly prompted the U.S. to declare war on Japan and officially enter the conflict against the Axis power.
After the initial attack on Pearl Harbor, Americans were furious. We really did not like the Axis powers at this point. And so what we did was we decided to join on the side of Britain. So what we decided to do was we decided to start from North Africa, make our way up to Italy, defeat Italy, go up to Germany, and then crush Germany. And it kind of worked. I mean, it worked in the sense that we were able to gain some victories in North Africa, but it didn't work in the sense that we kind of needed D-Day to, defeat Germany. I mean, it worked. We were able to break through German defenses, but it was at the cost of millions and millions of lives. We were able to break through. We were able to liberate France. We were able to liberate Poland. We were able to liberate all of the nations that were captured by Germany, and then we decided to attack Germany. We won. That's it. Hitler committed suicide. His wife committed suicide, and all the Nazis surrendered. That was the end of the war in Europe.
So Japan's initial involvement in the war was their wish to become an empire, and they started this by invading different sections of China. But America didn't like that, so they decided to stop giving Japan oil. And in a desperate attempt, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1948, hoping to completely crush America and at the same time invaded Wake Island. This, in fact, infuriated the Americans, and as a retaliation to Pearl Harbor, what they did was they staged a Doolittle raid, which was successful, which was also followed by the Battle of Midway, which is a gigantic American win, as well as the Battle of Coral Sea, which turned out to be a tie. There was also the Battle of Guadalcanal, which was another American victory, followed by the well-known Battle of Iwo Jima, which is most well-known for the picture of the soldiers raising up the American flag. You also have the Battle of Okinawa, which was of course, American victory, since this is American history. But there was still too many casualties, so America decided to end the war by dropping the atomic bomb.
Although the atomic bomb was eventually used on Japan, it was not invented specifically to be used on Japan. In August of 1939, President Roosevelt received a letter from Leo Szilard and Albert Einstein claiming that the Germans were building quote-unquote an extremely powerful bomb of a new type. This led Roosevelt to want to be the first ones to create the bomb, and it ended up creating something known later as the Manhattan Project. However, by the time that the United States had already made their first atomic bomb, Germany had already surrendered. And so President Harry Truman, who became president after President Franklin Roosevelt died, decided to use the atomic bombs in Japan so that the war quickly. After bombing the two Japanese cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan finally surrendered. The unveiling of the atomic bomb was a game changer to the war. It allowed America to win the war quickly, but it also started an arms race with Soviet Russia, which later became known as the Cold War. The Cold War would eventually lead to the Iron Curtain, which would split Western Europe and Eastern Europe, but that's for another time. So now that we've finished all of our talking about the war and America before the war, let's go to Mia really quick so that he can tell us about America after.
Thanks, Ryan. Now, before I talk about the war itself, I'm going to talk about the Depression. Before the war had begun, the Great Depression was in full effect in America. As America was just beginning to recover from the Depression, the war had begun. To end the war, to help the Allies, Roosevelt knew that it would take something very major to get all the hearts and minds of Americans together. After Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor and Hawaii, July, the US finally declared open war against Germany, Japan, and its allies. Roosevelt was happy that this event occurred as it enabled the US to enter the war, as it connected all the hearts and the minds of the Americans. The war helped get America out of the Depression as it caused a surplus in weapons that was being provided to the other allies. The war also caused many social issues. Many Japanese were put in the internment camps after Pearl Harbor by the US government in the fear that they may be Japanese spies. Women also began to take a major role in society as they took over factory jobs that men had to leave because they had to go to the war. Overall, World War II helped bring out the US from the Depression, gave women a more major role in society rather than being caretakers of families, and made the US a superpower.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for watching Project Prep today. I hope that you have learned a little bit more about World War II and America's involvement in World War II and all about how great America is when we want to be. See you guys next time.
Project Prep was made with the help of my wonderful co-stars, Jonathan Caldera and Neil Perec. Our script was written by Jonathan Caldera and myself. We had some acting done by all of us, including Felix Jen. Felix Jen also did some last-minute editing as well as helping us find most of the pictures. But